This is the National Adventurer Awakening School. Each contestant will first approach the Awakening Stone for an examination. Those who awaken successfully will be immediately rewarded with a basic equipment set for their awakened profession. Then they proceed to the practical combat test. While everyone anxiously wonders what profession they will awaken to, this young man stands resigned in line with 5 other rookies as this is already his 3rd time taking the exam. After some murmuring, it's finally Ningfeng's turn. As expected, when his name was called, whispers of ridicule erupted below. Isn't this Ezo, the top student of Class 12's, that legendary guy? All he does is follow Goddess Wang Yue around all day. Everyone thought he was some formidable figure, but turns out at 18 years old he still hasn't awakened. Ningfong walked through the murmurs and approached the Awakening Stone. The examiner was Chivi, a beautiful and gentle teacher. Chivi encouraged Ningfong to stay calm, then generously gave him time to prepare so he could be in the best mental state before starting. Ningfong placed his hand on the spirit stone and tried to relax completely. This time he was very surprised because unlike the previous 2 times, the spirit stone reacted. It glowed with a blue light symbolizing the magic element. After awakening, Ningfong automatically learned the initial skill's summoning place. Next was to see how many stars his awakened profession would have. Kiwi held her breath in anticipation. The result was Ningfong only awakened a 1-star profession, far behind Wang Yue, who awakened a 5-star profession on her first try. Kiwi sighed. It was truly a pity for this student. Laughter and jeers erupted again from below. They had hoped Ningfeng could defy fate this year. But in the end, he was just a 1-star adventurer like before. Kiwi frowned. They're all just kids, but such sharp tongues. She stepped forward 2 steps, intending to ask what skill Ningfeng had awakened, but seeing his dazed expression, Kiwi didn't press further. Perhaps Ningfeng had been deeply discouraged. Kiwi handed him a basic set of equipment. Cheer up. Change clothes, then, onto the next stage. Ningfeng obediently accepted, but what stunned him just now was not the profession or his 1-star rank. It was that after awakening he heard a strange voice inside his head. The system checked and confirmed the host had completed awakening. The activation conditions were met, but before Ningfeng could finish logging in, the voice sounded again along with a virtual window. It announced he had gained a passive ability called Dark Core along with a mysterious gift. Using dark power will have repercussions, but when using forbidden spells, all penalties are waived. The mysterious gift is 1 free forbidden spell release every week. Ningfeng grew more and more confused. Dark power is the most evil force in the world, and forbidden spells are the highest rank magic. Now he could use both dark power and forbidden spell magic. It all sounds like some surreal fantasy from Canada Shizuka or something. But that's not all. The system then continued to announce that his initial active skill's summoning place was evolving. In just a few seconds, it automatically darkened into the skill-defiled earth body. Ningfeng felt like a duck hearing thunder, totally bewildered. But for now, there was still one more practical combat round. He planned to test his power using this opportunity. The combat round was divided into teams. Each team of 50 would enter the secret realm to familiarize themselves with their newly awakened skills by fighting monsters. But contestants were not allowed to assist or attack each other. Throughout the exam, drones would monitor the process. Kiwi told the students to quickly confirm their skills. Ningfeng also checked his active skill, which was now Defiled Earth Body. It was a dark forbidden spell. When used, Ningfeng could summon dark power from another world to form a protective shield. It could crush all enemies at close range. Ningfeng thought it over and still felt that this so-called dark forbidden spell looked very dangerous. If it turns out to be some kind of dark magic and someone else discovers it, you'll definitely be finished for. I really don't know what that virtual demon system is. Ningfeng didn't have time to think much because right after Kai Vai signaled the contestants to enter the secret realm, he immediately went in with the other students. As soon as they entered, all the contestants were busy fighting the monsters. The first ones they encountered were goblins. Ningfeng watched carefully and noticed surveillance drones everywhere, so he didn't dare to casually use that dark forbidden spell. However, that was the only attack method he had, so for now he could only find a safe place to hide temporarily. Of course, all the students' movements were being broadcast live outside, and Ningfeng's actions made Captain Chu on the judging panel very annoyed. Everyone else was crazily killing monsters to level up. What is that kid doing? Kaivi awkwardly tried to defend him. That child awakened a bit late. His health isn't very good. The skill he activated is defensive magic. He's really not suitable for fighting alone. Captain Chu was a strict man. He wouldn't show sympathy for such reasons. He ordered Ki-Vi to call Ningfong out and stop his participation. After all, in Captain Chu's eyes, a one-star profession cannot become a true adventurer. Before Ki-Vi could say anything, Captain Chu's subordinate suddenly let out a loud noise. Ron! The recent surveillance was attacked by something causing the footage to be interrupted. Moreover, the monitoring side is warning because they just detected power fluctuations far above the average in the secret realm. Quickly go investigate what exactly happened. Captain Chu hurriedly instructed his subordinate. Meanwhile, inside the secret realm, the students were getting beaten badly because suddenly a very strong monster appeared, apparently a mutated goblin with a werewolf-like interface. It led the low-level goblins to stand up and fight against the contestants. At my command, all intruders today must be buried here. Goblins usually have weak combat ability, but suddenly with a leader uniting them, they became a formidable army. Another drone flew and the mutated goblin raised its fist at Cao Chung, and the drone immediately exploded and fell just hitting Ningfeng, who was hiding nearby. He let out a startled cry, unintentionally attracting many goblins nearby, including the leader. Haha, there's still a little worm hiding here. Ningfeng had been hiding so well, he didn't understand what was going on. Why the goblins suddenly gathered in a pack, and why there was such an elite leader in the middle. But he quickly noticed all the drones in the area had been taken down. There was no one observing outside now, so it was the perfect chance to test if that forbidden spell was real. Ningfeng pointed to the sky and began activating his corrupted earth physical skill. The elite goblin's face immediately changed because suddenly many skeletons sprouted from the ground. Outside, the surveillance team was in chaos too, since all drones lost connection and dark power suddenly surged in the secret realm suspected to be caused by a demon-class monster or higher, so reinforcements were urgently called for, and all non-combat personnel nearby were evacuated. Ki-Vi panicked. Demon-class monsters or above are disasters capable of destroying a whole city. Why would such a terror exist in this exam? Inside the secret realm, the elite goblin and its minions were terrified. They had thought Ningfeng was useless, but he actually summoned a whole horde of zombies. Ningfong was enjoying the feeling of using dark, forbidden magic for the first time. Aside from the creepy, sticky magic on his hands, everything was fine. The system kept sending notifications with the same message: goblin minions killed experience points plus 10. Just like that, the goblin army was nearly wiped out by Ningfeng, and the leader still hadn't regained composure. Suspicious that Ningfeng wasn't human due to the overwhelming dark power. But what good was suspicion? In the end, this monster had to go sell salt with its comrades. After killing it, Ningfeng immediately earned 6,000 experience points. Ningfeng checked his stats and found he had jumped all the way up to level 10. In the real combat tests a few years ago, contestants could only level up by 1 or 2 levels at most. However, this level 10 mainly relied on the 6,000 experience points from that elite goblin. So why on earth did it appear here? Only then did Ningfong notice the items dropped from the elite monster. They all seemed to be good gear. Among them was a permanent agility attribute seal that increased agility by 10 points. There was also a rare-grade claw weapon which could greatly boost strength, agility attack power, and critical hit rate once equipped. However, it required level 20, so Ningfong couldn't use it yet, but he quickly picked it up anyway. After all, selling it for money wouldn't hurt. Ningfong now realized the advantage of having the system in hand. At this rate, his monster farming and leveling path would definitely be smooth. Just as Ningfong finished picking up all the equipment into his bag, he heard the announcement, all contestants must retreat immediately. Only then did he start paying attention to his surroundings, and noticed that the land and trees around had been completely ravaged, and the pits were filled with dark energy. Turns out, this was the power of the forbidden magic. Ningfong hurriedly took out the teleportation scroll. He shouldn't linger here too long. If discovered, it would be robbery. So he, along with countless other contestants, quickly exited the secret realm. Captain Chu was extremely tense at this moment. Demon beasts of king level and above were very difficult to fight, and it was uncertain if reinforcements would arrive in time. But suddenly he was shocked to realize that the source of that dark power had vanished. A grim scenario appeared in old Chu's mind that demon beast might have escaped the secret realm. He immediately notified those responsible for the exam, ordering them to reactivate the school's ceiling formation, leaving only one exit open for unrelated people to retreat. But seeing how grim everyone looked, Fong was quite worried. When Kiwi saw him come out of the secret realm, she anxiously asked, "Ningfong, are you okay?" How could Ningfong be okay? He was clearly the root of their current headache. After confirming that Ningfong wasn't injured, Kiwi herded him away like chasing chickens. Not only that, she also announced that the school would temporarily suspend classes and no students were allowed to come near unless necessary. Ningfong returned home with Wong Duet, who still looked very confused as if she had just seen a ghost. "What's going on? I heard the entire school was locked down due to detecting an unknown power during the exam." Obviously, the unknown power was Ningfong, but this clueless young man thought it was from that mysterious elite monster. Seeing him so down, Wong Duet assumed the test being cut short hit Ningfong hard. After all, he had to wait 2 years for the awakening day. She also suggested forming a team to train levels together since the defense system magic he awakened wasn't suitable for solo leveling. No refusals allowed. "Tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'll wait for you at the west main gate." But Fong didn't expect the beauty to be even more determined than he was. This was clearly not an invitation but an order. After announcing the time and place, Wong Duet flipped her hair and left gracefully. Why won't she listen to me, such a bossy woman? Only Ningfong remained standing dumbfounded. His mood kept swinging up and down. Now he didn't know how to refuse. He planned to fake being sick to get out of it, but with Wong Duet's personality, he might get away with it today, but not tomorrow. Ningfong's head hurt thinking about it. Finally, he came up with a plan, though he wasn't sure if it would work. Ningfong went to the Vientiane Trading Center. Some equipment comes with skills. He wanted to buy some gear with skills to fake it a bit tomorrow. It was also convenient to sell the loot he got from the elite monster. The person who greeted Ningfong was a beautiful female employee. But the young man wasn't in the mood to notice a pretty girl. He asked the girl to bring him a skill-equipped item. It didn't matter if it was a weapon, jewelry, or some tool. She glanced at him and immediately knew Ningfong was a newbie. "Are you a newly awakened student?" Actually, low-level magic like basic skills doesn't require buying equipment. Then she started showing her professional skills. She enthusiastically introduced that the store had many skill-equipped items for higher-level magic, more suitable for leveling up. But Ningfong remained firm in his choice. After all, it was just bought to temporarily fool Wong Duet, not for leveling up. The female employee saw how stubborn he was and immediately changed her attitude 180 degrees. "Whoever came here to entertain and cause chaos for half a day turns out to be a poor ghost this old lady definitely won't serve." Turns out to be someone who serves customers based on their wallet again. Seeing Ningfong wasn't intending to buy high-end gear, she immediately pushed him to a new employee. This girl looked much more obedient this time. Ningfong, as usual, stated his wishes. As a result, she took him around several stores to try all kinds of suitable gear. Finally, Ningfong found a ring he quite liked. The equipment purchase was done. Now it was time to sell the loot. The girl then led him to the appraisal consignment place. Inside the appraisal room stood a middle-aged man called Master Vung. Ningfong handed him the claw-like item. Master Vung immediately activated his appraisal skill. This is an orange weapon equivalent to rare grade. Belongs to the agility class. The level requirement is not high, but the attributes are excellent. It's very suitable for beginners, plus it has 3 socket slots. You can adjust based on needed attributes to create the most suitable effect for yourself. This is a good item. We probably have some customers interested in this. Do you have any price requirements? It's Ningfong's first time selling items. Naturally, he wants the highest price possible. Master Vung then contacted customers and left the employee named Tu Jung to pour tea and serve Ningfong. The first person Master Vung contacted was Director Trung. He was always looking for a refined piece of equipment for his son. Conveniently, that claw item was very suitable. The two sides quickly exchanged, and finally, Director Trung agreed to buy that weapon for 50,000 tin currency. After deducting transaction fees, Ningfong could receive 46,000 tin currency. When Master Vung announced this price, both Ningfong and Tu Dung were stunned. He didn't expect to earn that much outside. The pretty but mean employee was busy chatting with her colleagues. "Hey, don't you like handsome guys? Why did you just let that fresh meat go?" "I only like handsome guys who have both money and skills. This poor quality stuff isn't even worthy of carrying my shoes." She snapped back loudly to the group busy gossiping. Then she saw Ningfong walk out from the consignment room with Master Vung. The news spreads quickly. They soon heard that Ningfong had just sold a piece of equipment for 50,000 tin currency. Now he still wanted to go shopping for a few more items. 50,000 tin currency is a huge amount for those employees. Plus, the commission from this deal would definitely be considerable. That mean girl looked like she was struck by lightning. If she had tried to serve Ningfong well earlier, that 50,000 tin currency commission would have been hers. Before Ningfong left, the attendant Tujung invited him to stay a bit. "Mr. Nin, next time you buy or sell anything, just come straight to me. My name is Dung Hin." The next day, Ningfong went downtown feeling very happy. Last night he tried the gear with the attached spell and wouldn't be affected by the system, so there was no worry about being exposed and having Wong Duet twist his neck. That's why today he arrived right on time. Just as he saw Wong Duet, a group of people appeared from nowhere with an extremely flashy aura. They had a mage, shield warrior, berserker, and priest. All were members of Wong Duet's guild. Ningfong greeted enthusiastically, but the mage and shield warrior seemed not very friendly towards him. Meeting for the first time, they acted as if Ningfong owed them 80,000 money, especially that pale-faced mage. He didn't even bother to glance at Ningfong, live at Wong Duet's side. He started the conversation. "Duetni, I remember you're about to reach the second promotion, right?" "That's right." "What's going on?" Ningfong gaped in surprise. "Miss Wong really is top-notch. You can only complete one promotion every 30 levels. This means she's about to hit level 60. No wonder she's a 16-year-old genius awakened last year. But it's nothing special. I just wanted to give you a gift." The mage took out a high-grade Tay potion from his equipment bag, which permanently increases attributes. Everyone was impressed. This item even has an orange rarity. It adds 3 permanent agility points. Compared to the mark that adds 10 agility points that Ningfong picked up, it's much weaker. But it's still enough to dazzle everyone. Seeing his teammates' astonished expressions, the mage continued to fake, "This is indeed valuable, but it's no big deal. Only 20,000 to 30,000 spirit coins. Neither I nor Duetni care about that. The important thing is that this high-grade Tay potion is very hard to buy even with money. My father asked many friends, and it was very difficult to get just one bottle like this. Originally, he planned to use this potion to win over a beauty, but unexpectedly, Wong Duet only accepted the sentiment. She flat-out refused the item. The pale-faced mage even tried to force her to accept the gift, but Wong Duet, a strong-willed beauty, never cared about anyone's opinions. No need, she firmly refused once again. "We have other things to do, so we'll go ahead." The mage, embarrassed and angry, shouted, "Wong Duet, do you really want to waste your time with this loser?" Triotring noticed his words. This statement really made Wong Duet angry, but Triotrin's foul mouth refused to shut up. He insulted Ningfong as a loser, someone who'll never achieve anything in life. After listening for a while, Ningfong felt itchy ears and said, "You couldn't pick up girls, so you're targeting me now. Is Triotring crazy? Or should we just use the kill curse and end him now?" The others saw Triotrin getting more outrageous and wanted to pull him away. But the pale-faced guy really didn't know when to stop. He kept putting Ningfong down, saying his whole body from head to toe wasn't worth as much as one of his high-grade Tay potions. Ningfong finally couldn't hold back anymore. For people who like to talk nonsense, the only way to deal with them is to be even more brazen. "It's just a level 3 potion, and you have the nerve to show off and threaten people. Do you think you're the center of the universe?" Triotring was furious. "What's a poor demon like you talking about? Are you asking for death?" The shield warrior followed up. Triotring also chimed in, "Such arrogance. Do you have something even more powerful? Why don't you show us and broaden our horizons?" Triotrin smirked, eager to see Ningfong humiliated. He said, "If you really have something better, I'll kneel and kowtow to apologize. But if you're just bluffing, then you have to kneel and apologize to me." Ningfong had been waiting for this moment. He waved his hand and took out the permanent attribute boost mark to give to Wong Duet. This time, even Miss Wong was shocked, her mouth agape. She had never seen anything like this before. Of course, Triotring and the others were the same. That's why he thought Ningfong was bluffing. Whether it's a trick or not, shouldn't we just try and see? Wong Duet hesitated because she was afraid this item was too precious to use. But Ningfong was confident. The others urged her on because they wanted to see the item's effect. In the end, she decided to use it. Triotring and the others held their breath, watching. They just saw Wong Duet's radiant smile. Her attributes really increased. Triotring couldn't accept this situation. It's true, winners become kings, losers just argue. He believed a poor demon like Ningfong couldn't have such a treasure. He must have stolen it. Kneel and kowtow. "Speak louder, please. I'm hard of hearing." With Trio Trin's personality, how could he accept kneeling before Ningfong? But a gentleman keeps his word. 4 horses are hard to chase. Facing the discriminatory looks from his teammates, Trio Trin had no other choice. He knelt down on both knees and bowed his head very low. Ningfong was satisfied at this point, unable to hide that smug smile. After settling this debt, he quickly pulled Wong Duet to breathe in the fresh air together. People like Trio Trin are truly annoying. After the two walked away, Wong Duet still felt uneasy. But their relationship wasn't worth calculating compared to that attribute-boosting mark. Ningfong sincerely hoped Wong Duet would quickly complete the 2 missions and then pass the entrance exam to the best university. Not that she had to stick by his side. Actually, if she stayed next to him, he basically wouldn't be able to level up. Wong Duet didn't understand Ningfong's worries. She thought he was underestimating himself, thinking he wasn't worthy of being by her side. Ningfong was speechless. This girl is seriously overthinking in the final stage. And she's so sentimental, too. That's right here, take this. Wong Duet pulled 2 items out of her equipment bag. Both were skill books. Once Ningfong leveled up to the corresponding level, he could learn them. Both were purple quality. Just by looking, you knew they weren't cheap. But compared to that attribute-boosting mark, there was really no comparison. So Ningfong accepted them so Wong Duet wouldn't feel like she owed him. The two began the leveling process by entering the secret realm called Graveyard Danger. True to its name, it was full of tombstones and zombies. Wong Duet was enthusiastically smashing monsters with her favorite weapon, a bow set. Meanwhile, Ningfong was trying to prove his existence by cheering her on with his life. Inside, he felt utterly helpless. The experience points in this secret realm were too low, but Ningfong couldn't tell Wong Duet that he was already level 10. Wong Duet didn't want him to help with fighting. She just wanted him to sit quietly and share the team experience. Ningfong had no way to attack monsters either. After a while, Wong Duet got a phone call. It was the pink-haired girl, the holy cleric from the guild, calling Duet Ni. We just received news that the great boss, corrupted law demon, is about to appear. This chance is very rare. Do you have 0 progress? Hearing their conversation, it seemed the bossy one was just worried about her sister. He ordered Wong Duet to come immediately, because the corrupted law demon was a tough great boss. You needed a full team to defeat it. Most importantly, it could drop a rare mage item he desperately needed. Wong Duet hesitated a bit. Ningfong, however, was very understanding. Go ahead, I'm fine. After all, we're both in this secret realm. Me leveling up a bit later won't matter. All right, I'll go to the safe zone and wait for you. Ningfong gave the okay sign, feeling like he'd won a prize inside. After Wong Duet left, the smile on his face gradually turned inhuman. Finally, it was just him and the great boss they mentioned earlier. Ningfong wanted to test himself. He had prepared early last night and learned 2 new skills, thanks to the mysterious system gift given at the start. Each week, he could use a new skill for free once. So naturally, it was best to use as many as possible. Unfortunately, Ningfong's level was still quite low. He only had 3 skill slots in total. The books Wong Duet gave him could only be used after reaching level 15. Also, in the Graveyard Danger secret realm, there were several other squads fighting as well. They all had the same target, the Great Boss. It appeared in a tall tower deep within the secret realm at the edge of the dungeon. You had to fight through a long stretch to get there. One squad was still debating how to advance when the fire flame blinding appeared in front of them. Moreover, it advanced very quickly and far. They glanced and immediately recognized it was the guild squad of summoners Wong Duet and Trio Trin. They were very famous throughout the entire kingdom. Those two were considered the strongest newcomers. Truly a well-deserved reputation. Looks like people like us don't stand a chance. Wong Duet's group charged straight ahead. It had to be said their coordination was very smooth. Trio Trin hadn't even gone halfway and was already smugly convinced that this big boss would definitely be his. He also looked down on the other squads, thinking they were all trash. Wong Duet didn't have time to argue with him. She just focused on doing her mission well. The Holy Priestess and that former elite warrior both felt that Wong Duet had gotten significantly stronger this time. Sure enough, the attribute-boosting mark that Ningfong gave was rare. The agility stat instantly increased by 10 points, which made a huge difference. Meanwhile, deep inside the secret chamber in that tower, something unusual happened. And that unusual thing was Ningfong appearing. He just used the forbidden magic space spell. This spell lets Ningfong travel through space. In the blink of an eye, he arrived without wasting time fighting along the way. This skill can be maintained for 1 hour. As soon as he arrived, Ningfong immediately ran into the fallen law demon. But he wasn't afraid. He even enthusiastically waved hello. The fallen law demon was startled and scared because a stranger had invaded. It unleashed a devastating attack capable of wiping out an entire squad of 5 fake adventurers. Didn't it realize it was outmatched to appear here alone? But unfortunately, this move missed because Ningfong used the forbidden magic space spell. Then he vanished and reappeared behind the boss once again. Because I don't want to share the loot with anyone else. The fallen law demon panicked once more. Ningfong gave a sly smile. He then used a new active skill he had just learned called Heavenly Flame Rain. After activating it, Ningfong summoned a fierce rain of fire from the sky, causing massive damage within a certain radius. As the hailstorm descended, the entire tower was engulfed in smoke and fire, shaking violently. The undead warrior spirits guarding the place withered away before they could even react. This gave Ningfong a ton of experience points. Even more impressively, after defeating the fallen law demon, he gained a whopping 50,000 experience points. Ningfong instantly leveled up from 10 to 30, becoming a first-tier profession master. Besides experience, the loot was dazzling. Apart from 2 skill books not specialized for mages, everything Ningfong found useful. For example, the Demon Mark, which permanently reduces 3 stamina points after absorption, but permanently increases 15 spirit attribute points. When using the Demon Mark, the system sent Ningfong a new notification. It said that upon job change, he could unlock the hidden profession Soul Dance Master, or activate hidden prerequisite quests for the hidden all-school magic deity profession. Ningfong felt like he'd struck gold. Hidden professions are extremely rare. Among thousands, not even one might own one, and they're innate. Ordinary people have no way to intervene. By using these marks, he could activate the hidden profession. This was truly a windfall from the heavens. Ningfong didn't hesitate long and directly chose the all-school magic deity profession. Overexcited Ningfong's heavenly flame, rain erupted even more violently like a hailstorm. He inadvertently created a huge magical fluctuation. Even the guild group of footmen far away could feel it. Wong Duet ordered everyone to fall back and not keep pressing forward. But Trio Trin was greedy and didn't want to give up on this boss. The situation was so dangerous, yet he still wanted to advance. Are you stupid or trying to get people killed? Seeing Wong Duet tense up, Trio Trin didn't dare object anymore. Wong Duet took out her phone to tell Ningfong to retreat from the secret chamber, but saw a message from him sent earlier. Sorry, I have an urgent matter, so I'm leaving first. Ningfong went alone to the main hall to change his profession. Inside was as quiet as a temple with only a single receptionist girl wearing glasses. Hello, are you here to accept a profession change quest? Ningfong nodded and then began reading his basic information for the girl to log into the system. When she saw Ningfong was 18 and only a first tier, the girl was a bit disappointed his talent seemed somewhat lacking. But she didn't show any contempt and directly led Ningfong to the area of the top-ranked mage. After guiding him through the proper procedure, she went outside and ran into Captain Chu again. He had just been investigating the scene inside the hidden tomb danger realm and found that it was heavily damaged. The origin of the destructive power is still unclear, but it's estimated the threat level has reached King rank or higher. Just in 2 short days, there have been 2 threats from King level or higher monsters. The woman fell silent. That's right, that's why my superior sent me here to request your deployment, Shadow. After entering the promotion platform, Ningfong discovered the promotion mission was split into 2 branches. One was the Soul Master mission with an A-rank difficulty, and the other was the All-System Mage mission with an S-rank difficulty, but it was the prerequisite task. From the start, he leaned towards this hidden profession, so he didn't hesitate, and chose the All-System Mage. Ningfong's mission would be to enter the Hui Duong Divine Palace realm and obtain the mission item the Sacred Seal within 3 days. Ningfong confirmed that he would enter the Hui Duong Divine Palace realm, but it would have to wait a few more days. When leaving, the person who saw him off wasn't the bespectacled older sister. Although he noticed Ningfong didn't have time to think much. The older sister had already been pulled away by Captain Chu. She was a member of the secret organization called Shadow. It is said that all members of the organization possess a rare hidden profession and can use dark powers to fight, specializing in special missions. The older sister was carefully assessing the situation inside the hidden tomb danger realm. The dark power here was so strong that although much had dissipated, it still heavily affected her. There were no remaining clues here, so they couldn't grasp the culprit's intentions. Captain Chu was very uneasy because lately they frequently received reports of unusual signs at several locations. This seemed like a foreshadowing of some crisis. He wanted to ask the older sister if these incidents were connected, but she only said she would report to her superiors and send more people to investigate. Excuse me, is there confirmation that the culprit is a monster, or could it be something else? Captain Chu wanted to ask something, but hesitated and couldn't finish his sentence. You want to ask if the culprit could be a mutant like me, right? Sorry, I mean, no offense. The mysterious older sister didn't think this was caused by humans because the threat level here had already surpassed king rank. To control such a huge dark power, the cost would be more than just human blood and flesh could bear. In other words, a powerful monster is hiding in the city and could bring disaster at any moment, right? The mysterious older sister nodded, confirming Captain Chu's concerns were accurate. I'm afraid it's hiding in the shadows. We need to find it quickly. But in reality, the monster they talked about was at home very relaxed, because he immediately leveled up to 30 and unlocked 4 new skill slots, just waiting for this. Ningfong quickly took out 2 skill books that Wong Duet gave him to study. The first was Magic Shield. After confirming learning it, the system automatically merged it with the earthly corpse body to form the passive skill Earthly Shield. This skill automatically activates when attacked. 100% of the damage will be absorbed by the earthly corpse body. The damage absorbed will correspond to the damage dealt by the earthly corpse body. After attacking ends, the earthly corpse body will automatically recover. Ningfong grinned foolishly. So the earthly corpse body can also combine with low-level magic to produce such a great effect. Now he had a new method of defense. Normal damage was completely ineffective against him. The second skill book was Lava Rock Technique. The system also automatically merged it with the earthly corpse body and Heavenly Flame Rain. The passive skill obtained was Earth Element Mastery, which increased the effectiveness of all earth magic by 20%. Busy for a while and still had skill slots available, Ningfong went to the trading area to buy some new skill books. As soon as he entered, he ran into that snobbish, bad-tempered female employee again. This time, she welcomed Ningfong very warmly, but he specifically said he was looking for Dwan Hin. Dwan Hin is with another client. How about I take you there today? The girl tried to put on the most seductive look she could, but Ningfong flatly refused. Then no need, I can go myself. That arrogant girl doesn't think any man would ever refuse her. So she kept following Ningfong. But after a few steps, she saw Dwan Hin rushing out in a hurry. She wasn't busy entertaining guests. She had just been eating a quick bite in the back to stave off hunger. As soon as she heard Ningfong arrive, she quickly came over here. Dwan Hin then led him to Master Vuong. Ningfong handed over 2 skill books that he had no need for. Then he went with Dwan Hin to buy more magic skill books. After he left, Master Vuong fell into silence. Last time it was an orange weapon. This time it was a purple skill book. Ningfong's background was starting to interest him. That night, Ningfong invited Dwan Hin to dinner. But when it came time to pay, he found out she had already settled the bill. He was embarrassed, but Dwan Hin said she had her reasons. Whatever the reason, she wasn't convenient to explain. After they said goodbye, Dwan Hin took a taxi to City Hospital number 2. The reason she mentioned was her father. He was seriously ill and hospitalized. Thanks to Ningfong, Dwan Hin had just earned a lot of commission money. That's how she was able to cover the hospital fees. But today, her bad luck really arrived. The taxi Dwan Hin was in was attacked by a monster. And not just one, but a whole pack. They came through a space portal that appeared in the sky. The driver barely had time to react. In the emergency, Dwan Hin had no choice but to open the door and jump out. What is going on? Why are there monsters appearing in a safe zone? Dwan Hin didn't realize that a blood-clawed monster was slowly approaching her from behind. At the same time, a strange man appeared in the sky with a very sly smile. When Dwan Hin noticed the monster, she quickly cast a fireball, but it had no effect. She was actually a 1-star attribute-shifting mage. Because her attack couldn't even slightly harm the monster, Dwan Hin fell into a passive position. The monster lunged to grab her. In the critical moment, a man appeared and chopped off its head. Are you okay? Oh, it's Captain Chu again. He advised Dwan Hin to run to a shelter first. Everything around here has already been smashed to pieces. The secret realm is also starting to merge with the outside world. And the monsters appearing here are not something ordinary people can handle. Captain Chu had never encountered such a serious situation before. He believed this was still caused by the monster hiding in that city. While Captain Chu was still deep in thought, he was nearly ambushed. But this time it wasn't a monster, it was a human. You a mutant? I'm not the kind of trash mutant you are. The man had a fierce face. His entire right arm was completely deformed. "I am Xuanko the Fake of Dark Power." Xuanko Fake Captain Chu had never heard of such a thing, but now was not the time to get hung up on that title. He only knew this man definitely had no good intentions toward him. Captain Chu risked fighting back but didn't expect the man to be stronger than he thought. His strength was at least equal to a third-tier warrior or higher. The man placed a finger on the ground and laughed. "This is my territory." Power surged from his fingertip. "A guy like you simply can't compete with me." That bastard dashed toward Captain Chu. Dark power swirled around his body, condensing into a drill that pierced straight into Chu's chest. Fresh blood sprayed out. Chu was blasted several dozen meters away. The man threw back his head and laughed loudly. He was extremely satisfied feeling the surge of power rising in his body. But while he was still smug, a voice suddenly came from his left chest. "Weak humans, don't flatter yourselves anymore. Your power is granted by me. Without me, you would be just like your kind, nothing more than a worm or an ant." The man who was frantically attacking old Chu just a minute ago is now cowardly kneeling on the ground. On his head, a grotesque face seemed to appear, constantly urging him to turn everyone in this city into sacrifices, to pave the way for a king like him to enter this world. Ningfong Tuanlin just stepped out of the public restroom. The devastated scene before him left him stunned. He had only been gone a few minutes to pee, but outside was already littered with dead bodies. As soon as the monster noticed the commotion, it turned its head and spotted him. It immediately lunged to attack, but before it could reach Ningfong, the ground beneath cracked open, sending a spear piercing through the monster's body. This was the effect of the magic that Ningfong had just learned called Earth Element Jade Spear. Luckily today he had just spent a fortune buying this weapon, which came with purple-grade skills and also boosted his Earth Element magic. Ningfong opened the restaurant door and stepped outside, only to find the scene even worse than inside. The moment he stepped out, he ran into that mutated man who was frantically killing people. As soon as he saw Ningfong, his eyes filled with bloodlust. "Haha, you think I'll let a worm like you slip by again? What the hell is this soul stuff?" Before Ningfong could react, the man was already right in front of him. His right arm enlarged and grabbed Ningfong completely. He tried to crush him in his palm, but couldn't squeeze him at all. The man found this extremely strange. Ningfong was obviously a normal human body, yet he was able to block this strike. Moreover, he could feel a huge dark power energy radiating from him far stronger than his own. Damn it, why do I sense from him an aura even more terrifying than death itself? Ningfong didn't dare underestimate his opponent either. This guy seemed quite formidable. If he let him unleash a large-scale forbidden spell in the city, it would be disastrous. To win, he had to strike first. Ningfong mustered his strength and counterattacked, eventually overpowering the opponent. His giant armored arm was shattered, leaving only a thin, withered arm like a stick. The man immediately panicked wildly, desperately calling for the leader, but of course no one responded in this situation. Meanwhile, the monsters were all running away as the space gate slowly closed. As soon as all of them passed through the space fold, it completely shut, leaving only the struggling man behind. At this point, it seemed his power had vanished. What they call mutants or supernatural powers are those who awaken and gain the hidden profession of the dark element. As long as they can wield this dark power, their strength far surpasses others of the same profession level. So once the dark power is lost, it's like a person suddenly paralyzed in all four limbs. That was exactly the situation of that strange mutated man. After the space gate fully closed, he was continuously beaten by Ningfong. Thanks to his ability to use Earth Element control skills, he successfully sent the opponent packing, even though it took a bit of effort. The situation outside must be chaotic by now. As a habit, Ningfong gathered all the spoils and slipped away. If he got caught, it would be hard to explain with this stuff in his mouth. Meanwhile, the mysterious woman whom Captain Chu called Miss Shadow was busy assessing the situation. Her real name was Tu Lam. She found it very strange that the invasion phenomenon of the secret realm and the monsters suddenly retreated. What exactly was the enemy's intention? The superiors reported that this attack caused heavy infrastructure damage, but basically human lives were preserved. Only the squad in Nam City suffered serious losses and has not yet been contacted. To Lam's expression grew colder after hearing this. Nam City was Captain Chu's area of responsibility. Could something really have happened? Let's go see what's going on there. When Lam arrived at Nam City, she encountered a strange man. He was Dwan from the Van Wy Huyen Kan organization. This was an unofficial organization formed entirely by fighters who specialized in secret operations. Dwan also came today to inspect the scene because of the mutant man recently taken down by Ningfong. He was originally a traitorous member of the Manhwa Huyan Khan. He paved the way for the secret realm to infiltrate reality and caused monsters to attack his old camp, leading to many casualties. When Talam heard this, her expression grew even more unpleasant. Could it be that because he died, the secret realm's invasion stopped? Dwan didn't answer. Instead, he asked back, "Was it you who killed him?" Talam shook her head repeatedly. She just arrived and didn't even know who eliminated the enemy. Dwan studied the traitor's corpse for a long time. That bastard liked hiding inside the secret realm. He was extremely cunning. Several times he found him, but always let him escape. Which god or saint would make him suffer such a painful death? Talam also had her own thoughts when she saw that standing corpse. Captain Chu had the strength of a 3rd level, but was still beaten badly by that bastard. Yet this mysterious figure was able to directly defeat the enemy. Is there really such a formidable figure stopping secret realm invasions in this city? Dwan didn't linger long. He said he needed to find something and then left. The night before at Ningfong's house, the mocking laughter of that bastard echoed non-stop as he dropped 2 orange-colored sets of warrior gear. This is even better than fighting a boss. But during combat, he wasn't wearing them, probably because he hadn't reached the required level. There was also a skull-shaped necklace, but no information about it at all. Its quality was completely blank, too. Ningfong carefully examined it for a while, confidently thinking there probably weren't any demons or monsters inside. I think young Ningfong shouldn't risk being an adventurer anymore. He'd be better off becoming a fortune-teller. Whatever he says turns out true. What that necklace was hiding turned out to be the owner of the voice controlling that bastard. I thought he was from another world, but unexpectedly he was hiding inside that necklace. From inside, he could observe everything outside. While Ningfong wondered if there were any demons or monsters inside the necklace, that bastard was so scared his hair stood on end. He hurriedly ordered his minions to cut off all contact with the outside world. If discovered, they'd be doomed. The next day, Talam visited Captain Chu at the city hospital. According to his story, Dwan was the one who saved him from adversity. After seeing him, that mutant bastard immediately slipped into a space crack to escape. Even Talam felt from their first meeting that Dwan's strength was not inferior to hers. Such a strong person failed to catch the enemy and let a mysterious figure handle him on the scene. He even left behind some traces of dark power. So they hypothesized that the mysterious figure was also a supernatural talent. Captain Chu thought silently that if this mysterious person was on their side, it would be good. Just thinking about it felt safe, but if he was on the opposing side, it would definitely be a disaster. While old Chu's group and Tulam were racking their brains trying to find the mysterious figure's whereabouts, this legendary character was leisurely doing his next mission of changing professions. Finally, this important day had arrived. Ningfong entered the Yi realm and saw a gigantic fortress. Perhaps this was the Huiduang Divine Palace mentioned in the mission. He strolled through the secret realm, unaware that a pair of eyes were watching him intently from behind. That person was Dwan. A few days ago at the trade zone, Dwan went to find Master Vuong. He wanted to buy a set of gear for a 4th-level warrior. That alone qualified Dwan as a high-profile customer. The nasty female employee immediately clung to him so she wouldn't have to worry about commission later. Master Vuong introduced with a silly grin, saying they also had a regular customer who was just about to sell a 4th-level warrior's set consisting of 2 pieces armor and pants armor. Dwan wanted to meet that young man immediately, but Master Vuong said he was busy today and couldn't come. Of course, the young man passing on the gear was Ningfong, and Dwan's coming here was no coincidence. The warrior's 4th-tier equipment only consisted of armor and leg guards, and all the information matched perfectly. So even though he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he still predicted that it was very likely an artifact belonging to his master. Could you tell me more about that regular customer of yours? If necessary, I can pay extra to buy the information. Master Vuong appeared confused by Dwan's request. Customer confidentiality is their responsibility. Besides, Ningfong just mentioned wanting to sell equipment when this guy showed up knocking. These 2 coincidences were too much for him to act rashly. So he thought up an excuse to cover up and temporarily invited Dwan to leave. I remember he said he needed to go to the border city to handle some matters. Let me call him to confirm. Once I have news, I'll report back to you, sir. After Dwan left, Master Vuong sat in the appraisal room pulling at his hair in frustration. That nasty woman saw this and pressed for more information. It turned out he had previously asked someone to investigate Ningfong's background. In the end, they discovered the guy's profile was quite tragic. Both parents were average 2-star professionals. They mysteriously disappeared when Ningfong was still a baby. He struggled alone until he awakened at 58 and is still only a 1-star professional now. The female employee was extremely surprised to hear this. With his impressive appearance, he actually turned out to be trash. Her sharp intuition had told her from the start that Ningfong was very suspicious. Now it seems his background isn't the problem. The real issue is where the items he's selling came from. A 1-star professional couldn't possibly own such valuable items worth multiple gold coins. This was also what troubled Master Wong. He also found out that Ningfong and Miss Wong Duet were childhood friends. But the Wong Corporation didn't help him much. Seeing how ugly Dwan's expression was earlier, Master Wong feared the equipment Ningfong was about to sell was closely connected to him. Wait a minute. That nasty woman seemed to realize something. Ningfong's equipment isn't stolen, is it? Not necessarily stolen, but probably not from a good source either. Looks like this time he messed with the wrong person. Dwan is a 4th-tier professional. Though not the strongest, he's considered a top-level existence in the region. The nasty female employee wanting to watch a good show secretly thought Ningfong's fan was doomed with him. Back to the present, Dwan was still cautiously tailing Ningfong closely. He couldn't believe his eyes seeing such a young person fend off the invasion of the secret realm from years ago, even a strong master like his own. Dwan was also defeated by the secret realm boss, but his master's equipment might very well be in Ningfong's hands. Dwan thought if he wasn't truly strong, he must be manipulated by someone, so he dared not act carelessly at all. Ningfong headed to Huijung Divine Hall and began the process of changing his equipment. Dwan held his breath watching because a person's true strength could be inferred from their gear. But the shabby equipment Ningfong put on afterward really left him speechless. This set looked so ordinary, just like a high schooler who hadn't graduated yet. Could it be a disguise? Dwan thought, and it made sense at his age. Newbie clothes wouldn't draw attention, and would make it easy to blend into a group of weak-ranked people. Ningfong's items were real, but Dwan's overthinking made him suspect he was deliberately hiding his trail to shake off enemies. He dared not follow too closely, so he marked him using a skill. He had a proactive skill called Spiritual Guidance. It could mark a target in a self-aware state without the opponent noticing. But putting aside the shabby outfit, Dwan wondered about something else. The monster levels in Huijung Divine Hall weren't high. Naturally, the drop rate for good loot wasn't high either. So what was Ningfong doing here? On this side, he didn't even realize Dwan was present. You went straight into the Divine Hall. The monsters inside are quick-tempered like ice cream. As soon as they saw you, they rushed to attack, but thanks to the passive skill, Earth Guardian Ningfeng didn't lose a single hair. The process of creating this shield happened so fast that Dwan was left shocked, mouth agape. Although the monsters in this secret realm aren't too strong, Ningfeng's absolute defense skill is insanely overpowered. After the first attack failed, the monsters started to avoid him. This only confirmed to Dwan that Ningfeng was not an ordinary person. But Ningfeng went straight to the largest statue in the Divine Hall. This is the final boss. And thought he wanted to solo it, but strangely the statue didn't move at all. According to the script, it was clearly terrified by Ningfeng's dark power. It surrendered without a fight, and Ningfeng didn't even bother with this big lump, but just walked around it. There was still a secret passage behind the statue where a giant armor hung. It had 2 pairs of wings behind it. These are the 6 plague archangels. They are the real boss the system mentioned, not that dumb statue out there. As soon as Ningfeng appeared, the eye sockets of the armor suddenly lit up. But the strange thing was it didn't attack him, it just flew straight up to the ceiling. Why is this thing running away, Ningfeng wondered. Dwan outside was even more puzzled. It was his first time knowing that the Divine Hall of Huijung had this secret passage. How did Ningfeng know about such a rare hidden boss? Of course, it's an S-rank mission. If it were a normal first-tier mission, who would bother? Ningfeng eagerly followed the 6 plague archangels, but they seemed as intimidated by his aura as the statue outside. The 6 plague archangels were desperate to die. They felt defeated even before fighting. That guy's terrifying aura is just insane, but this is his secret realm after all. Where else could he run? Seeing the opponent trying to escape, Ningfeng activated his new skill Thunder Demon Punishment. After using it, he could summon an extremely powerful thunderstorm. This attack's power could rival Heavenly Calamity. As soon as the skill was unleashed, the 6 plague archangels couldn't escape and were struck by lightning, their heads smoking. Despite their imposing presence, the 6 plague archangels were instantly roasted into barbecue by Ningfeng's single Thunder Demon collapse attack. Even part of the Divine Hall couldn't withstand that skill and fell into ruin. Dwan collapsed to the ground. Damn, this world-destroying magic was the first time he'd ever seen it. That skinny guy's power is terrifying indeed. Dwan suspected Ningfeng's strength had far surpassed his master. He might even have reached the legendary 8th-tier powerhouse status. Ningfong looked at the ruined Divine Hall in front of him. He could only sigh with regret. If this were a normal mission, he would have gained a lot of experience points after defeating the 6 plague archangels. But since this is a first-tier mission, the level can't increase before completion. These experience points are such a waste. The mark was already in Ningfeng's hands. He was about to use the teleportation right to leave when Dwan suddenly lunged out from the rubble. "Boss, please wait a moment." Ningfong bit his tongue in fear. Who is this dark-skinned guy? Where did he come from? Could it be that he saw everything when Ningfeng used the forbidden dark spell earlier? Seeing Ningfeng's horrified expression, Dwan was also scared stiff. He hurriedly smiled, pretending to be friendly to the boss. "Don't be angry. Please let me explain." Ningfeng was confused. Why does this guy keep calling me boss every time he opens his mouth? But before Dwan could explain anything, the alarm siren sounded. "Just get out of here. We'll talk later if anything happens." Dwan obediently agreed. Then the two of them left the secret realm together. They found a secluded place to have a heart-to-heart talk. But Ningfong finally understood why Dwan was following him. His master back then was also considered one of the strongest in the area. But he had to sacrifice himself to temporarily seal the secret realm's intrusion process. And that traitor guy escaped. For years he's been using human sacrifices to try to break the seal. Dwan continuously pursued but failed every time. Today, seeing Ningfong in person, he immediately shifted from being cautious to worshipful. Then Ningfong looked at him wearily. This person is a 4th tier strong. If he hadn't voluntarily collapsed here, you wouldn't even realize you were being followed. Dwan had no idea that the one he worshipped had just completed a 1st tier mission. Ningfong was extremely troubled. After all, your level is still too low. At this rate, being exposed is only a matter of time. This gloomy expression of his looked far more dangerous from Dwan's perspective. He also became very tense. Could the boss's sudden silence mean he wants to kill me to silence me? This thought flashed through Dwan's mind and scared him to death. He forced himself to calm down. First, he thanked Ningfong for avenging his master on his behalf. Then he promised that if Ningfong ever needed anything in the future, he could call on him anytime. Coincidentally, Ningfong also wanted to build a good relationship with this person. After all, his level was high, and he also went solo. It seemed like he could be useful in the future. So he tried to force the coolest, most dangerous face possible. I don't hope anyone else knows about what happened today. Rest assured, I will definitely keep it a secret. These words came from his true heart. Dwan saw that Ningfong possessed immense dark power but never harmed innocent people. Moreover, he allowed all secret realms to be infiltrated to save the city. A strong yet humble and low-profile person like this made Dwan both worship and respect him. After all, he had nowhere else to go. So for now, he planned to stay in Tandu City with his new idol, Ningfong. The misunderstanding between them was resolved. Just as they were about to go their separate ways, Ningfong's phone rang. It was Kai Vi calling, saying there were some matters to discuss. She was waiting for Ningfong to return before speaking. Ningfong found it strange. Kai Vi suddenly calling like this, what urgent matter could it be? Of course, there had to be a reason for her to do this. And that reason was Talam showing up in person. She had been paying attention to Ningfong's movements because he was just a newly awakened student who quickly reached 1st tier. This made Talam suspicious. But Kai Vi firmly trusted her student. Ningfong might not be very gifted, but he had a good character and studied hard. She didn't believe he was a bad person. I'm not saying he's a bad person. Talam corrected. But there were indeed some things that needed clarification. A few days ago, Talam had reported the situation in Tandu City to her superiors. She also reported suspicions about the continuous appearances of destructive magic, that it was caused by mutants. As soon as Talam said this, the entire conference hall fell silent. Finally, an older-looking man spoke first. Talam, you're a psychic user. How can you ask such a question? He said this because psychic users who use dark power have to pay a very heavy price. The stronger the psychic user, the greater the price they must pay. From life energy depletion, loss of reason, even turning into a monster, even the cheapest price, if not careful, can push a psychic user into an irreversible situation. And in recent days, the threats have reached king-level danger. The old man believed it impossible for a psychic user to have king-level power. Old friend, you're getting off topic. How can you imagine a king-level psychic user, huh? The man with Son Goku hair sitting nearby mocked. If you like writing scripts so much, why not become a scriptwriter? Why bother being a psychic user? Talam didn't expect her thoughts to be challenged like this. Still, she believed this was entirely possible. It's just that no evidence has been found yet. The shoppy Son Goku character saw this and continued to ridicule. Talam, you do little talk a lot. He even boldly said that if a king-level psychic user really existed, he'd bring his head for Talam to kick as a soccer ball. The old man coughed a few times, signaling the man to shut up. They agreed to send more people to investigate in Tandu City. If necessary, that investigation team will take over all the work. Additionally, Talam requested to send more people from Koan, but the superiors have not approved it yet. That made Talam grind her teeth in anger. Is it because they don't trust us? The older man advised Talam to be patient and wait a little longer. But with the city already in chaos, how could she be patient? Back to the present. Talam was still sitting with Ki-Vai, her subordinate, who just brought shocking news the hidden realm of Huiduang Divine Palace in Longbok City had been attacked by dark forces with no casualties reported yet. Ki-Vai's expression darkened upon hearing this, as when Ningfong went through the location transfer registration, it was exactly Huiduang Divine Palace. Talam obviously knew this too, since before being called away by Captain Chu, she was the one who handled Ningfeng's transfer registration. Talam smiled faintly twice. This matter seemed to be getting more and more interesting. The entire Longbak City was currently protected by a dense magical barrier. Ningfong and Dwan blended into the crowd, all of whom were extremely anxious. He overheard rumors that everyone's worries were related to Huiduang Divine Palace, but they didn't realize that it was because of him that this situation happened. Ningfong was troubled. Longbak City had directly activated the highest alert. Now it seemed the only option was to wait for them to lift the alert before he could take a bus home. But unexpectedly, a crack appeared in the sky over Longbak. History repeated itself as monsters began to emerge from that narrow space-time rift. They found the magical barrier laughably weak. It was typical of weak humans to hide in their shells. More and more monsters poured out of the crack, the leader looking the most ferocious, with two large horns like a demon on its head. It sneered at Longbak's barrier, calling it as thin as paper, and unable to stop them, then signaled to give humanity a big surprise. All the monsters obeyed and surged toward the city center. They attacked simultaneously, and holes gradually appeared in the barrier. Only when the hole became too obvious did the people notice something was wrong. What is that? They were caught off guard as the monsters pierced the shield and began a large-scale attack. Screams rang out. Innocent civilians began trampling over each other to flee. The city's protectors only then began to panic. They didn't understand how the monsters broke through the barrier, which was supposed to be extremely sturdy. The stampede caused many to be accidentally injured by the guards' swords. Facing this, Dwan seriously stood in front of Ningfong and opened a separate barrier for them using his martial spirit fighting skills. Dwan thought this might be another hidden realm intrusion, but at a higher and more dangerous level than before. Dwan cautiously asked Ningfeng, "Should we take action?" Ningfeng looked clearly surprised. "You have a way to handle this." Last time, during the hidden realm intrusion, Ningfeng defeated the traitor and accidentally stopped the process. But he didn't realize how significant his actions were, so his previous question to Dwan was not feigned ignorance. Dwan was puzzled the boss could clearly handle this easily, so why ask him for a solution? Could this be a test to see what he was really thinking? The more Dwan thought about it, the more reasonable this theory seemed. He began to stretch his joints, planning to put on a performance that wouldn't disappoint Ningfeng. "Understood, boss. Don't worry. Leave everything to me." A bunch of question marks appeared above Ningfeng's head. Understood what? Leave what to whom? But since there were many people around, Ningfeng thought it better not to show his dark, forbidden power and let Dwan take action instead. "All right, then, you do it." Dwan observed the situation. On one side, monsters were attacking fiercely. On the other, people were fleeing in panic. Some protectors stood against them, but their strength was negligible, especially against the two-horned leader. The disparity became clearer as one by one they were knocked away by the leader who didn't even have a scratch on his body. The leader, after a bout of slashing and killing, clearly showed disappointment on his face. What a letdown. I thought there would be a few strong ones among humans. He carried his blood-stained sword, dragging his steps slowly forward. Wherever he headed, the scene was even more tragic than the word tragic could describe. Everyone was crazily fleeing in despair. To him, humanity now was nothing more than a pile of trash, and his ambition to massacre humans grew even more rampant. The leader raised his sword to finish off a weak schoolgirl, but the moment his weapon came down, it was blocked by a much smaller sword. Dwan landed on the ground, and the monster seemed surprised that someone finally stopped its advance. Meanwhile, Dwan showed a look full of resentment from the opposite side, clearly unwilling to reconcile with the opponent. Although the boss didn't really need my protection since I was here, I couldn't let him fight alone. Leave the boss to me. But Fong really didn't want to interrupt Doan's cool and stylish moment at long back. Can you please stop calling him boss? It's a bit awkward. The ugly monster laughed heartily with interest. Ha, seems like not all are trash after all. Dwan ignored him and focused all his strength into his sword. This counterattack sent the monster flying back, coughing up a mouthful of blood in shock at the power of this small human. But before it could regain its stance, Dwan closed in again, holding two swords, his cold gaze piercing through. Dwan swung both swords, delivering about 10 slashes within a few seconds. None of these crisscrossing cuts actually hit the monster. The onlookers outside the battle held their breath, watching every move closely. What level of powerhouse is this? The fierce monster was completely unable to fight back. His skills were clearly extraordinary. He was very likely a high-level hidden profession. Dwan stepped out of the fight looking incredibly cool and confident. Just as the bystander said, he possessed a 5-star hidden warrior profession. His current level was already 137. Watching this inside, Ningfong was screaming wildly, "Holy crap, this guy is really powerful!" But in the end, he restrained himself, expressionless, and calmly said, not bad, the monster leader has been eliminated. Other profession users took this opportunity to counterattack. They were like headless snakes, no longer a match for humanity, and frantically fled back to the crack. Dwan walked straight up to Ningfong. "Boss, is there anything else you want me to do?" "No need, you did great." Ningfong could no longer control his emotions, giving a thumbs up and laughing so hard he could barely keep his eyes open. Dwan's performance just now was truly eye-opening, and the bystanders found their conversation even more confusing. Dwan was such a powerful fighter, yet treated the young Ningfong with such respect. They were really curious about this young man's background. Could he be the son of a big family traveling with bodyguards to train? That would be quite showy. Also, Dwan took some spoils after killing the monster leader, but didn't keep them for himself. He brought them directly to Ningfong. First, 2 orange-colored items. The bystanders were dazzled just looking at them. Even if they couldn't use them, selling them casually would fetch tens of thousands of spirit coins. Next was an agility skill book called Fate Strike. Ningfong was very pleased because he could give this to Wong Duet. Finally, there was a shield called Demon Bone Shield, a bit ugly, but probably not worth too little if sold. 2 powerhouses, please stop for a moment. At this time, some adventurers and the mayor of Longback City approached them, very grateful that Ningfong and Dwan had saved the city from disaster. Mayor Tai Dongmin even bowed deeply, thanking them very politely. On another note, Ningfong's expression always looked dangerous whenever others saw it. Tai Dongming thought it was because the city had activated the highest level barrier. It caused inconvenience for the hero moving around, so it was recorded. Therefore, they had to meet again. Lai quietly apologized to Ningfong. He ordered his subordinates to fetch the teleportation scroll he just bought as compensation. As soon as Ningfong heard that, his eyes lit up. The teleportation scroll is a good item. It's rare to find something like that in your area. Although it can only be used once, it's extremely convenient for short to medium distance trips. At this moment, Tai Dongming cautiously made another request. Because there's been chaos everywhere these past few days, he wanted to invite Ningfong and Dwan to stay a few days in Longback City, since the city's defense forces were a bit weak. "Sorry, I'm not free at this time. I probably can't fulfill your request." But Fong shyly declined. Although he didn't want to, the prior mission was limited to 3 days. If he didn't return soon, he wouldn't be able to complete the first transfer. Tai Dongming saw this refusal and exaggerated it, as if saying, "Do you think I have all the time in the world?" Thai Dong-ming kept breaking out in cold sweat and dared not bargain to keep the hero longer. His subordinate had already brought the teleportation scroll over. Thai Dong-ming also gave Ningfong a powerful black card from the Vientiane exchange as an apology gift. Ningfong was surprised. This was only issued to a few successful people with many privileges. No wonder this mayor managed to buy an instant teleportation scroll. It seems his identity is far from simple. When fortune comes your way, how can you say no? Ningfong laughed heartily and thanked Thai Dong-min. Only then did he breathe a little easier. So if Longback City is ever in danger in the future, can we count on you for help? He bit his lip nervously. Having accepted their black card, how could Ningfong refuse? No problem, as long as I'm available. Thai Dong-ming was happier than winning the lottery. His subordinates and the city's protective guild members were so excited they lost control. Even the whole group started screaming like a troop of chimpanzees. The boss agreed Longback City is safe now. After finishing up, Ningfong and Dwan used teleportation to return home. At the transfer hall in Tandu City, the guild's squire group was anxiously awaiting. Wong Duet also came today to take on a transfer mission. Look, the 2 transfers are out. Duyet Ni has come out. Wong Duet stepped out of the hall, followed by Trio Trin just exiting the door. Miss Wong immediately saw 2 figures darting inside like birds. She was stunned for a few seconds because one of them looked like Ningfong. That comment made Trio Tring laugh heartily. So you're mistaken. A teleportation scroll worth thousands of gold coins. How could a broke guy like Ningfong afford that? Even if he did, what would a newly awakened guy like him be doing at the transfer hall? Wong Duet felt increasingly irritated. If it weren't for respecting Trio Tring and being on the same squad, she would have already beaten him up. She turned to throw Trio Trin a look full of affection. If you dare badmouth Ningfong one more time, I'll show you what I can do. Trio Tring didn't expect the beauty to react so fiercely. He hated Ningfong even more and couldn't understand why a beauty like Miss Wong always defended a hopeless guy like that. Hey, forget about that. Have you 2 received your transfer missions yet? The other 3 in the squad enthusiastically asked Han as they moved forward. Trio Tring looked regretful because he only got an A-rank mission, not an S-rank. His teammates breathed a sigh of relief. Actually, an A rank was already great. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Seeing this, the pink-haired Saint class member in the group grew even more hopeful about Wong Duet. But Wong Duet's expression didn't look good, causing the whole group to start worrying. What's wrong? Duet Ni, you didn't get a C-rank mission, or lower, did you? Trio Tring laughed silently to himself. Even a genius girl praised by everyone could have a day like this. A low-level transfer mission would directly affect attribute increases and skill unlocks. Seeing this, he patted his chest and said, Duyet Ni, you don't need to worry. Later on, the effort is just to catch up. Anyway, I will help you. Trio Tring at this moment looked exactly like a peacock spreading its tail to show off to the peahen. But Wong Duet just threw him a contemptuous glance. If an A-level missions like his doesn't even bother him, then why should an S-level mission like mine? As soon as Wong Duet finished speaking, the whole group was stunned. It turned out that her ugly expression earlier wasn't because she got a low-level mission, but because she unlocked a hidden profession no one had discovered. Trio Tring was the first to voice opposition, because he thought Wong Duet said that when awakening, the profession was clearly predetermined. He had never heard that you could trigger a hidden profession during a job change. Wong Duet recalled the situation in the job change arena earlier. She originally had the initial profession of a swift marksman, but because she possessed a key item, the agility attribute enhancement mark, this profession could be upgraded to Needle Wind Shadow. Seeing the upgrade confirmation screen in front of Wong Duet, everyone was very surprised. That mark was given to her by Ningfong. They didn't expect it to have such a great effect. Recalling Ningfong's confident expression at that time, Wong Duet even thought he had known everything all along, so she was even more grateful for this gift. But in reality, Ningfong didn't know anything at all. Wong Duet eagerly chose to advance her profession. The job change mission also changed accordingly. When she told this story, Trio Trin's attitude became even uglier. What do you mean, Needle Wind Shadow? I've never heard of it. Or maybe there's something wrong with the job change system. What if you choose wrong and waste your whole life? Trio Trin pretended to care about the beauty, but in truth, he was just unwilling because she got lucky. Wong Duet waved her hand bluntly and told Trio Trin not to interfere in her matters. It was like a bucket of cold water was poured on him. Wong Duet's 2 other friends were as happy as if they were at a festival. Oh my God, I also want a childhood sweetheart like Ningfong. Trio Trin was so angry his eyes were about to pop, But while he was jealous of Ningfong a little, he was 10 times more jealous of Wong Duet because of that mark. Trio Tring secretly thought he also had to send someone to find that mark. No matter how much it costs or how dangerous it is, he must find it. Meanwhile, Ningfong had finished absorbing that divine mark. His stamina increased by 5 points, and his mental attribute also rose by 5 points. The mission was completed. The system then proceeded with the job change process. After the job change, Ningfong also received a passive skill called automatic operation. His ability to control dark power increased significantly. Already Ningfong was eager for the next monster encounter to test it out. Throughout his job change, Dwan stood silently with his arms crossed outside. This was noticed by Tolam. She felt very puzzled about his presence here. Moreover, it seemed like he was standing guard for Ningfong. Tolam had also investigated Dwan. This person was young but had already reached 4th transformation. Even nationwide, he was a great power like Longfeng Sunglun. Yet Tolam heard from staff reports that when the two entered, Dwan was very respectful to Ningfong, her student. This was no simple matter. Tolam had kept in contact with Kai Vi by phone all along. Next mission, I'll have to rely on her. Don't worry, I'll confirm again, but I believe he definitely won't be our enemy. At this moment, Ningfong and Dwan had gone outside. The two were chatting happily when someone called out his name from behind. Ningfong turned and saw Ki Vi, feeling very startled, because he remembered Ki Vi had called him earlier, saying there was something very important. Boss, I'll wait beside Dwan. Know your place and step aside. The title boss that he gave Ningfong was something else. Ki Vi was very curious. Ningfong was also startled, not knowing how to explain. He had to make up an excuse to cover up. Don't mind him, he's just joking. Kai Vi didn't bother with small talk and went straight to the point. She questioned Ningfong if he had already completed his first rank promotion. Bored Ningfong broke out in a cold sweat. How did Miss Kai know? Although he didn't expect to keep this matter forever, being discovered so soon was a bit too early. However, Ki Vi was one of the few people who had always cared about Ningfong. He thought the teacher wouldn't harm him, so he honestly confessed. This was hard to believe. The more he explained, the more complicated it got, so he didn't want too many people to know. Kai Vi nodded, but still had one more thing she wanted to confirm. So have you been corroded by dark power? Why do you ask? Ningfong felt his scalp break out in sweat from fear. Could it be that others have also discovered that you possess a system? I also know that recently the world has been experiencing abnormal phenomena. The boundary between secret realms and reality is increasingly being breached. Many people affected by dark power are gradually turning into fake supernaturals. Ningfong sighed in relief. So this was what the teacher was worried about. He quickly confirmed that he was not a fake supernatural. After all, this group is always under strict government surveillance. Ningfong didn't want to get involved with them at all. But Kai Vi didn't trust his empty words. She took out a small black stone and said she hoped Ningfong would cooperate. According to Kai Vi, if Ningfong infused his power into this crystal, the dark power inside his body would be revealed. Ningfong hesitated a little, but refusing would make things even more awkward. He then touched the stone with a few fingers and started channeling energy into it. But unexpectedly, before even 1 second passed, the stone exploded. Panicked, Ningfong shouted, "Ah, what the hell is going on here?" Damn it, it broke. Kai Vi was also stunned. No one could have expected this situation. She recalled that when To Lam gave her this crystal before, she warned it was extremely sensitive to dark power and was often used by the government to detect fake supernaturals. When power is infused into this demon crystal, it vibrates. The stronger the vibration, the higher the dark power content. But To Lam didn't say what it meant if the demon crystal exploded directly. Perhaps even she hadn't anticipated this situation. Ki Vi knew that Ningfong had awakened and changed ranks, which was a bit strange. But she also knew him for a long time, so at least she should trust him as a person, right? Kai Vi fell silent. Indeed, Ningfong lost his parents since childhood and awakened 2 years later than others. His circumstances were pitiful. Maintaining such an optimistic spirit was already not easy. Personally, Kai Vi always trusted him, but she still had responsibilities regarding today's matter. Ki Vi had to report to the higher-ups. She hoped Ningfong would understand this. Ningfong sighed deeply. He didn't know how the government would react. But if things got too suffocating, maybe he could just leave Tandu City altogether. The confirmation was done. Kai Vi pulled out a skill book she had prepared earlier as a gift to congratulate Ningfong on successfully completing his first rank promotion. Ningfong accepted it, deeply moved. Miss Kai, thank you for always taking care of me over the years. I just happen to have a gift prepared for you, too. What Ningfong took out was a belt called the Holy Pure Feather, with an orange quality. This item adds 20 spirit points, increases recovery and healing effectiveness by 50%. When worn, it grants complete resistance to dark attributes. Most importantly, the Holy Radiance effect means the wearer doesn't need to chant when using healing spells. Kivai couldn't believe her eyes. The value of this item wasn't just because it was orange quality, but because the no-chant effect could save countless lives in critical moments. Seeing how valuable it was, Kivai hesitated to accept it. But Ningfong kept pressing the belt into her hands, saying it was loot he earned from his rank-up mission. Kivai had no choice but to accept it. Then he said goodbye to the teacher and left immediately with Dwan. Kivai stood there for a long time, her heart tangled with thoughts. But Fong gave the orange equipment to someone else without a second thought. Is this kid really a god or just too kind-hearted? Kivai returned to the adventurer's office, bringing the shattered magic core to report back to Tu Lam. Tu Lam was also seeing this for the first time. Kivai was extremely worried. If the Superpower Association truly saw Ningfong as a threat, it would be a big problem. Tu Lam sighed deeply and stood up. Forget it, stop here, just stop here. What did he mean Tu Lam wanted to give up investigating Kivai's student who might have already surpassed their current understanding? Tu Lam believed that if Ningfong was truly a powerful figure, they shouldn't dig any deeper. Otherwise, it could anger the other party. Tu Lam ordered his subordinates to temporarily halt the investigation into Ningfong. All of his information must be strictly sealed. Kivai completely agreed with this decision. After all, Ningfong had just passed adolescence and didn't have any outstanding background. Tu Lam's halt on the investigation was like lowering the spotlight on him. Now she could breathe a little easier. But stopping the investigation into Ningfong didn't mean Tu Lam would sit idly by. She shifted her attention to the person next to him now, Dwan. That night at Ningfong's house, he lay flat on the sofa, sighing deeply and anxiously. Kivai had just sent him a message saying that the superiors had canceled the investigation into him. This should have been good news, but Ningfong worried sick about future rank upgrades. Every time he advanced, he would break through a secret realm. That caused too much attention. Now he was being watched by the government. If he continued like this, it was only a matter of time before he was discovered. Dwan was also worried on behalf of his boss. After thinking it over, he proposed, "Then what if you don't advance through the secret realms the government prepares? Wouldn't that be safer?" Dwan said this because recently the world had undergone anomalies, and several new secret realms had appeared inside. Some government officials didn't want to waste effort and resources dealing with them. Some were even partially occupied by evil forces. But Fong was very excited when he heard this. That's a good suggestion. He immediately asked for more information about these new secret realms. Dwan replied that he currently only knew 2. If Ningfong needed, he could gather more information. Then I'll have to trouble you. Ningfong was very pleased. Now he planned to rest a bit. Tomorrow he would head to the trading area to sell loot, then take the chance to relax for a while. After all, he could use the Dark Forbidden spell. Leveling up now was as easy as pie. No need to worry about being left behind. After finishing their talk, Dwan returned to the hotel. On the way back, he ran into a strange man. The man introduced himself as Trung Ki, the newly appointed mayor of Tandu City. Trung Ki came to thank Dwan for saving someone during the secret realm intrusion. He also asked if Dwan planned to stay in Tandu City. Dwan honestly replied, "I really do plan to." Trung Ki visibly brightened. "That's great. For a powerful figure like you, we warmly welcome you." Then Trung Ki pulled out a card saying it was a special certificate for adventurers in the city with very high authority. They were ready to fulfill Dwan's requests as long as he agreed to stay and help the city. Dwan took the card and examined it for a moment. Trung Ki grew nervous again, having heard that other cities had invited Dwan, but he had declined them all. Tandu was just a small local area. Trung Ki feared being criticized, but was surprised when Dwan just said, "Thank you for your kindness." Then he tucked the card into his chest pocket. That was clearly a gesture of acceptance. Trung Ki felt like he had achieved something. This was a 4th-tier, powerful figure. With him staying, Tandu would be even safer. That night, Ningfong lay on the sofa playing video games for a long time until late at night. When you were about to go to sleep, you noticed our class chat group was still very lively. They were all complaining about not reaching level 30 in time to advance ranks, while the secret realm in the city had already been sealed. Ningfong just silently observed. "Everyone in class is 16 years old and has awakened. To participate in the university entrance exam, you have to be at least rank 1. Unexpectedly, in just a few days, he went from a loser to surpassing all of them. He originally planned to just watch, but someone couldn't resist dragging Ningfong into the tease. In a situation like this, only the low ranks aren't worried. Like Ningfong still leisurely playing games, right? Ningfong checked the profile. It was those brainless guys obsessed with Wong Duet again. What does it matter to him if I play a few games? In the end, Teacher Kai Vai spoke up to clean up the chaos in the group. The troublemaker quickly retracted his message after that. The conversation then shifted in a different direction. They sent a clip in the group chat showing monsters invading the secret realm and attacking. Then they started a heated discussion. Heard the entire city has fallen. There's basically nowhere safe. Plus there's an awakened who lost control, same as last time. Then I heard some mysterious boss defeated the monsters and stopped the secret realm invasion. Our Tandu city actually has such a skilled masked hero. If I knew who it was, I'd definitely call him Grandpa. If I found out that mysterious boss was Ningfong, I'd probably have a heart attack and die immediately. Even Ningfong got drawn into their story. He started feeling worried. A few days ago, he heard Dwan and Kai Vai talk about the awakened. Didn't expect the situation to get so serious in just a few days. He just found out the system only lets you live comfortably for a few days. He definitely can't let these good days end. How many of those monsters came to Earth? Ningfong will probably slaughter them all. At this moment, the monster hiding in the pendant Ningfong was holding suddenly sneezed. Not sure why, but it suddenly felt extremely uneasy. The next day, as planned, Ningfong went to the Vientiane Trading Center. Dong-hin was already waiting for him early, and because of that, the rude female employee whose name he still didn't know teased her. Women's jealousy is truly scary. That rude woman criticized Dong-hin for having blind eyes, clinging to Ningfong but not realizing he was just a thief. What's more, he dared to steal from a 4th-rank warrior. He must have been crushed to pieces by now. She spoke nonsense. Mr. Nin is not that kind of person. Dong-hin shouted, Master Vung has already sent people to investigate. That Nin guy is just an 18-year-old loser who just awakened. Even his parents died early. He basically can't get any high-level items. The more she spoke, the more venomous she got, insisting that Ningfong was a thief. While her foul mouth was busy running off at the mouth, the ground suddenly cracked, forming a sharp spike that shot up right next to where she stood. That rude woman almost got skewered like roast meat. She was so frightened she sank to the ground, tears streaming. Sorry. Your filthy mouth almost made me lose control. Dong-hin was stunned. That rude woman saw Ningfong using offensive magic at the trading center and quickly screamed for security. Dong-hin anxiously advised Ningfong to leave before the guards arrived. After all, the forces at Vientiane Trading Center are not few. If they cause a scene here and get caught, it would be a real hassle. Shortly after, Master Vung arrived with a few security guards behind him. Since discovering Ningfong's identity, he had changed his attitude, no longer showing respect or flattery. Ningfong, who gave you the guts to act so arrogantly at Vientiane Trading Center, we Master Vung heard you're under investigation. And you even dared to falsely accuse me of being a thief behind my back. Master Vung not only wasn't afraid, but became even more defiant. Whether you're a thief or not, you know best. You still don't have the right to question me. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 large bodyguards behind him rushed forward. But Fong was extremely disappointed with how the Vientiane trading office treated their customers. He was also too lazy to fight, so he raised the powerful black card the mayor of Longback City had given him before. The 2 bodyguards rushing forward had to abruptly stop right in front of him. Vung Daisu's face instantly drained of all blood. Even if he were colorblind, he would recognize that supreme black card. How could it be like this? It's fake, definitely fake. That nasty girl looked just as panicked. Ningfong watched their expressions with great satisfaction. Looks like the gift from Mayor Thai really does carry some weight. Vung Daisu frantically questioned Ningfong where he got that card, but Ningfong just arrogantly put the card back into his shirt pocket. Didn't you already investigate me? If you're so capable, figure it out yourself. Vung Daisu fell silent immediately. The entire Vientiane trading office was temporarily sealed off. A moment later, Mayor Thai Dongming called Vung Daisu directly with a tone that wasn't very polite. The headquarters told me you're investigating me for giving the black card to Mr. Nin. What's going on, Vung Daisu? Truly scared now, he hurriedly explained that this was just a small misunderstanding. Mayor Thai Dongmin's father was one of the founders of this trading office. He absolutely cannot offend Thai Dongming. A small misunderstanding. I worked so hard to compete for Mr. Nin. Just try offending him. Thai Dong-min's voice through the phone was so powerful it nearly burst Wong Dae-soo's eardrums. He didn't expect Wong Dae-soo really offended Ningfong. Stupid bastard, just wait, I'll come there right away. The call ended and Wong Dae-soo broke down crying. He didn't understand what kind of relationship Ningfong had with that mayor to make him this angry. He thought of another escape route, calling Dwan to report that he had found the equipment he needed. If a fourth-level powerhouse showed up to back him, then Mayor Thai would have to show some respect. Outside, everything had turned chaotic while Ningfong was still sitting leisurely in the waiting area with Doong-hin watching. A moment later, Mayor Thai rushed over with Do-an anxiously close behind. Ningfong was a bit surprised why were both of them already here. Doong-hin was also astonished. How does her client know so many people? As soon as Mayor Thai and Do-an arrived, they threw a deadly look at that nasty employee. She was terrified. Only a blind person wouldn't recognize the murderous intent in those eyes. She turned to Wong Dae-soo for help, only to find him looking even more miserable than herself. Wong Dae-soo was a mess, muttering nonstop, "I'm done for. I'm really done for." Originally, Thai Dong-ming wanted those two to kneel down and apologize properly to Ningfong, but he flatly refused, believing people like them wouldn't repent, even after apologizing. Thai Dong-ming didn't say another word and directly ordered them to pack up and get out. Wong Dae-soo and that female employee were both so scared their faces turned pale. Immediately after he turned and punched the employee to vent his frustration, "It's all your fault, you damn brat, that I'm in this mess," though clearly it was both their faults. Yet beating a woman until she was bleeding from the mouth, Thai Dong-min couldn't stand it anymore and ordered the guards to drag them both outside. Peace returned. Mayor Thai subtly noticed Ningfong had a not-so-bad impression of the employee named Doong-hin. Looks like his goodwill toward the Vientiane trading office hasn't bottomed out yet. Doong-hin had suffered quite a bit this time. She vowed to work harder for the office and never be mistreated again. Blushing with embarrassment, Doong-hin lowered her head and mumbled that she would try her best. Ningfong felt a bit awkward too, feeling bad that Mayor Thai had to make such a long trip because of him. No, your business is my business too. Last time, if you two hadn't stepped in, I'm afraid Longback City would have been soaked in blood," he said again, as Thai Dong-min noticed Ningfong was looking at the treasure list of the trading office. He asked if he was interested in anything. Ningfong was indeed looking for something called Trung Vd Doc, but both Thai Dong-min and Do-an had never heard of it before. Seeing their confused expressions, Ningfong began to feel uneasy. He quickly made up that he had seen it online yesterday, but the truth would have to be checked later. Last night, Ningfong studied a skill book that Teacher Kai gave him to try. It was called Spirit Power Summon, used by mages to replenish mana during combat. When he learned the skill, the system automatically improved it based on dark power. He eventually gained a new passive skill called Confluence Judgment. It stated Ningfong could absorb Trung Vd Doc from the remaining dark power and transform it into his own attribute. That's why he came here today to look for it, but it seemed both Mayor Tai and Do-an were clueless about it as well. After everything was settled, Mayor Tai said goodbye to the two and left on a teleportation scroll. Ningfong felt a bit hungry and wanted to invite Dwan out for a meal. Instead, Dwan invited Ningfong to his private home. Unexpectedly, Dwan's home was a villa. It seemed Mayor Tan Du knew how to flatter talented people quite well. Ningfong was dazzled upon arriving here. Dwan even enthusiastically offered to give this house to Ningfong if he wanted it. But of course Ningfong wasn't the type to take advantage of others like that. "Looks like I have to work hard soon. After making enough money, I have to buy a villa like this and be Dwan's neighbor." While they were happily chatting, Do-an's phone rang. It was Mayor Truong Ki. He had just received a report that the investigative team sent by their superiors was currently looking into several accidents in the city and wanted to ask Do-an about it. Do-an was silent for a few seconds, his gaze fixed on Ningfong. This confused Ningfong a bit. The reason for Do-an's expression was fear that the investigation might affect the boss, thinking that he hung up. For now, he needed to get Ningfong's opinion first. Do-an told Ningfong what Truong Ki had just said, making him curious as well. An investigative team don't know what kind of people they are. We should still be cautious. Also, there's the appearance of another mysterious man in this plot. A spooky place like Tandu City. What mysterious boss could there be? The investigative team Truong Ki mentioned includes several psychics, including To Lam and even Ki Vai. They were holding a meeting chaired by To Lam. "Have any of you ever met that mysterious boss?" A rough-looking man spoke up. It seemed he himself was that man. When asked about the mysterious person just appearing, Talam casually replied that no one had met him. If that's the case, why are there rumors outside saying the mysterious boss saved Tandu City? The man then pressed Talam because during this infiltration of the secret realm, the psychics who helped fend off the invasion were eliminated, but the infiltration was ultimately forcibly suppressed. So the man didn't have the patience to hear Talam's full explanation. The danger level of the secret realm's infiltration fluctuated, but he believed that without clear evidence it couldn't be judged. Meanwhile, the two previous secret realm incidents left remnants proving they were attacks by king-level demonic beasts. He wondered why the mysterious boss didn't show up then. Of course it was because Ningfong caused those two incidents. So how could he show up? Although Talam had roughly investigated this, she couldn't say it, and fell silent for a few seconds. Kai-Vi was also very tense because Talam used her authority to alter all information related to Ningfong to protect him, so now all the pressure fell on her. This made Kai-Vi feel extremely guilty. Truong Ki simultaneously opened the door and stepped in, announcing that he had called Dwan, but he only replied that he didn't have time today. The other man continued to grumble. The most annoying thing was these uncontrolled freelance adventurers. Just a useless watchdog with no guild affiliation? Now he's the one with the most free time, yet he still acts so busy. I don't know who this man is, but his arrogant mouth seems unbeatable. In just a few minutes, he's offended everyone around. But he's also the one taking over this investigation, so it's understandable that he's eager to get to the bottom of things. That night, although it was late, the guards at the sinister tomb realm still had to receive an uninvited guest, the fierce-looking man. They immediately recognized him as an investigator and dared not obstruct his official duties. The man stepped into the tomb realm. Although it was his first time here seeing the severe damage to the realm, he couldn't help but be surprised. Just how powerful must that beast be to allow such destruction to this realm? Moreover, remnants of dark power still lingered pure and strong. He thought that even if the mysterious leader of those people appeared facing this beast, would be like a mere insect, not realizing that the beast he was investigating and the mysterious leader were actually the same person. The man threw back his head and let out a sinister laugh. Ha ha ha, what an interesting place! He spread his fingers, feeling the dark power swirling around each one. No wonder it's a threat of a king-level beast. The area feels enveloped by overwhelming power. Everything will be mine, haha. His identity was still unclear, but judging by his behavior, he was definitely not a good guy. Meanwhile, at Doan's villa, Ningfong was still lying around playing video games. Suddenly, the system issued an alert warning that an apocalyptic relic had been detected. Ningfong's expression immediately darkened considerably. He vaguely sensed that something was connecting to him through its aura. He sat up straight, trying to carefully focus on sensing it. The connection gradually became clearer. Ningfong felt he was almost able to locate it. He stood up and put on a jacket. "Boss, where are you going?" Dwan, seeing it was late and him putting on a jacket, was very curious. "I'm going out for a bit. Help me finish the match, okay? Don't go AFK." Ningfong left the house, leaving Dwan still confused with the phone in his hand. Based on his sensing, the thing was roughly near the sinister tomb realm. But shortly after, it seemed to start moving. At the entrance of the tomb realm, the guards were in a panic because the monster had appeared. The two of them were shaking with fear when they saw this, because the man, the head of the investigation team, was now trapped inside the monster's body. His once majestic appearance was gone. He could only keep shouting for help. I can't move. Someone please save me." Ningfong grew more and more anxious, but on his way, his taxi was stopped by a group of adventurers. They informed him that the area ahead was dangerous and off-limits. Ningfong got out and decided to walk instead. After all, the thing seemed to have temporarily stopped. Back at the tomb realm, the man kept shouting for help non-stop. Judging by the current situation, it was clear he was very uncomfortable. The group with Talam and Kai-Vi quickly arrived. They were all terrified by what they saw. "What on earth is going on?" The following scene was too tragic to watch. Talam was defeated by the monster covered in injuries. Kiwi hurriedly treated her wounds. Luckily, with the belt Ningfeng gave her, Kiwi could shorten the time for chanting the holy song to support the fastest recovery possible. But the situation was extremely dire right now, because even a powerful psychic like Talam couldn't hold the monster back. After some treatment from Kai-Vi, Talam barely managed to sit up. The monster ran off heading towards the city. They reported to the city mayor so he could call Dwan for help. Just don't know if he'll arrive in time. When Tolam heard the name Dwan, she could only sigh. His strength is no less than hers. To has already been beaten so badly by it, so relying on Dwan alone probably won't be enough to face it. But the person behind him now might be the city's only hope. This apocalyptic relic monster rampages wildly wherever it goes. The investigation team leader was so stunned he lost control and was knocked down along the way. Finally, it came face to face with Ningfong. Looking at the ugly thing before him, he had only one question. Should I use another forbidden spell to take it down? The monster confirming the person before it as its enemy flew into a rage. Its bulky body moved very fast, rushing straight at Ningfong to pounce. Its claws tried to tear his body into pieces, but unfortunately couldn't harm him. On the contrary, Ningfong's strength and aura were so powerful that the monster trembled in fear. At this moment, the system sent a new notification. Apocalyptic relic found. Do you want to absorb it? Just now telling me, does absorption require close contact? Ningfong didn't hesitate and immediately selected yes. The monster let out a roar that sounded very painful. Then its body shattered into many pieces. From these fragments, Ningfong could see part of the monster's memories. The absorption process began. After it finished, all of his stats increased by 100 points. Ningfong's eyes seemed to glow. Even the stats from a 3-star profession from start to reaching 3 shifts stacked never got this high. But besides stats, it seemed something else was also being drawn in. Ningfong felt his mind overload as images he had never seen before flooded in. Boss, what just happened here? Dwan finally hurried over, but everything was already settled. There was a monster earlier, but I killed it. Ningfong pointed to the rubble behind him. The reply was as light as a feather. In the ruins of the apocalyptic relic lay the investigation team leader unconscious. Dwan observed carefully for a long time. Earlier, Trungki had called to report the monster intrusion. Looks like this was the creature. He could fully understand how Ningfong defeated it. But what puzzled Dwan was that there was no trace of Ningfong using any enhanced magic or dark power around. So what exactly did he do to kill such a huge beast? You arrived just in time. I'm counting on you for the next task. Ningfong patted Dwan's shoulder and then disappeared. After all, he didn't want to linger and be discovered by others. But the way Ningfong left Dwan open-mouthed again, because his speed was too fast. Damn, isn't the boss supposed to be a mage? This speed is way beyond any agile-type profession. Dwan found Ningfong increasingly mysterious. He kept taking him by surprise, one after another, and the investigation team leader was later arrested and imprisoned. During interrogation, he confessed everything. According to him, during a trip into a secret realm, he discovered a monster that could control dark power and convert it into his own strength. So he took the opportunity to investigate and entered a dangerous tomb, hoping to absorb the dark power, but was unexpectedly controlled by the monster. After that, he lost all consciousness. This incident was resolved thanks to the help of Dwan and the mysterious boss behind him, Trungki. Happier than a son passing university entrance exams. So good, so good. We really have a mysterious boss protecting our Tandu city. Tolam and Kivai also felt a bit more at ease. They still couldn't dig deeper into information about Ningfong, but at least from the current situation it was clear he had nothing to do with those monsters. Trungki was so happy he got flustered and turned to ask Dwan if he had ever met that mysterious boss before. He answered that actually he had been lucky enough to meet him once. Hearing this, both Kivai and Tolam looked quite shocked. What did you say? Trungki was so happy he felt like celebrating and wanted to ask Dwan to be the recommender. He promised that if the mysterious boss agreed to help Tandu City no matter what the request was, they would do their best to fulfill it. But Dwan advised Mayor Truong to drop that thought because the boss was a humble person who wasn't interested in fame or fortune. Trungkai looked worried and disappointed. A powerhouse like Ningfong must have had countless people risking their lives to flatter him. He really wanted to hug Ningfong's thigh. Seeing Trungki's bad expression, Dwan reluctantly comforted him a little. The boss has relatives in Tandu, so naturally he will pay attention to this city. You don't need to worry too much, but you should be considerate. His family wouldn't want to be disturbed either. Hearing the two words relatives, both Tolam and Kaivi fell silent. Especially Tolam, who had gone from suspecting Ningfong was the mysterious boss to wondering if that mysterious boss might be his senior. Ningfong was still leisurely at home reflecting on what had just happened. He finally understood what the so-called apocalypse relic was. It was the remnants left behind after several demon kings died in the secret realm. Earlier, many scenes had replayed in his mind. Actually, those were fragmented memories of the demon kings from when they were alive, absorbed by him. At first, Ningfong didn't intend to become a demon king and thought those things were useless. But after thinking it through, he realized they might be helpful. Specifically, having those memories made it easier for him to conquer the secret realms. The secret realms, while accumulating dark power, would experience phased enhancements. Once unable to resist the invasion of time and space, the apocalypse would break out in the timeline where Ningfong lived. The path to cultivate incomplete awakening individuals was why there were so few powerhouses reaching the fourth transformation. Also, the professions of these awakened individuals rarely reached their best state. If things continued like this, humanity would only have the option to collectively sell salt. Even if Ningfong was strong enough to protect himself, he didn't want to live alone in that monster-filled world. Fortunately, the timeline he lived in wasn't the only one invaded by the secret realm. Some other timelines had successfully repelled the invaders. But Fong thought that as long as he accumulated a bit more apocalypse relics and passed on all useful experience, it could have a huge impact. But how to spread it still needed careful thought. After all, these matters far exceeded humanity's current understanding. If not handled properly, it could lead to unpredictable consequences. The phone rang, cutting off Ningfong's thoughts. It was Miss Wong calling. She happily informed him that she had completed the S-Rank job transition and obtained the shadow-piercing profession. This success was also thanks to Ningfong, so Wong Duet wanted to invite him to a proper celebration meal. After stepping out of the job transition station, Wong Duet's teammates were already waiting. Quatrong set off fireworks to celebrate. That guy Triu Trin, who also completed his transition, was extremely satisfied, enjoying everyone's praise. He even cleverly booked the best restaurant in the city to invite beauties to celebrate. But of course Miss Wong flatly refused, saying she was busy. Having just completed such a tough mission, she needed to rest a bit. Is it really that important? Can't it wait until later? Triu Trin still wanted to persuade her. Yeah, it's very important. Wong Duet gave a brief reply, then left, leaving Triu Trin behind with 3 teammates. He was so angry he gritted his teeth, thinking Wong Duet had just successfully made 2 transitions and already turned her back on him. Seeing the tense atmosphere, the saintly awakened woman quickly waved her hand, saying, "Don't think badly like that. Duet isn't that kind of person. Maybe she really has something important." But unexpectedly, Triu Trin was determined not to let this matter go. Seeing that he couldn't win the goddess's heart, he decided if he couldn't have her, he'd destroy her. He began to provoke the others. "You guys must keep up with her footsteps. She's already very tired, right? She has completed the mission to advance to S-Rank and awakened a new hidden profession. The gap between her and everyone else is growing wider." What Triu Trin said wasn't wrong, but he continued that under these circumstances, Wong Duet would sooner or later leave the squad. This clearly made the remaining members unhappy. That evening, Wong Duet took Ningfong to a whole roasted lamb restaurant. Ningfong was so happy seeing the delicious food he couldn't keep his eyes open from smiling. "Today's meal was mainly to thank you for the imprint you gave me. It really helped me a lot," Wong Duet said gratefully. Ningfong tore off the piece of lamb, chewing messily, and asked again, "Now you remember from the Demon King's memories? Indeed, you can see that the professions of awakeners don't reach their perfect state. Yet Wong Duet managed to unlock a super rare hidden profession. Could those imprints be one of the methods to level up?" Wong Duet nodded. She asked Ningfong about finding more of those imprints. She wanted to buy them to give back to him and the other teammates. But Ningfong had only found the badge by luck. It was just Wong Duet's reliable attitude that deeply moved him. "I'll think of a way to find the imprints. The situation is dangerous now, so having more power to protect yourself is better. When I find the right imprint, I'll give it to you. Maybe you'll even be able to activate a hidden profession." Wong Duet's serious look made Ningfong feel a little amused. He joked, saying leveling up on your own is such a hassle. "Later, you just protect me, no joking around." "I'm serious," Wong Duet shouted. But from overexertion, a sharp pain suddenly shot from her right shoulder. Ningfong stopped chewing, worriedly asked the beauty, "What's wrong?" Wong Duet endured the pain and held her shoulder. "I got injured carelessly while completing a mission. Although I treated the wound, it was still an S-Rank mission. The boss caused heavy damage. Chung still needs to rest for a while." Just then, Ningfong's phone rang. As he answered, the voice on the other end was very aggressive. "Hello, are you Ningfong?" "Who is this?" Ningfong replied lazily. On the other side, the person almost shouted rudely into the phone. "Ningfong, you don't need to care who I am, just tell me where you got that imprint." Ningfong lost all patience with this madman and hung up. Then he told Wong Duet what had happened. Worry was clearly shown on the beauty's face, the fact that Ningfong gave her the imprint. but she didn't tell anyone else who exactly is this person. Information records, please. Contrary to her concern, Ningfong didn't seem too bothered and kept eating the lamb. But once again the phone rang. Ningfong answered. The voice on the other end was even more aggressive. How dare you hang up on me? You don't want my toast, but you want a penalty drink, right? Wong Duet beside Ningfong didn't want to pick a fight with a nobody, so he hung up again and put the phone on silent. They finished the meal and then went home separately. That night, when he got home and stepped into his room, Ningfong was shocked. His whole house had been ransacked. If it wasn't a thief, it was definitely a robber. Sure enough, a strange blonde man appeared in the house. He didn't hide and even boldly spoke first. Aizu, young Master Nin is back, huh? Ningfong immediately guessed this bastard was the one who harassed him on the phone earlier. So the so-called toast you refused and the penalty drink he mentioned earlier meant this. Who sent you here? Ningfong asked sternly. A worthless guy just awakened and he dares to talk to me like that. Didn't the teacher teach you to show respect to the strong? I don't know how strong this bastard is, but his attitude is way too arrogant. Suddenly another guy jumped at Ningfeng from behind to ambush him. But how could his speed compare to the southern hero's aura? Ningfeng just gently tilted his body and dodged the attack. Then he countered with an elbow strike that knocked him out on the spot. The blonde guy was stunned when he saw this scene. It seems Ningfeng is way tougher than the intelligence he received suggested. Ningfeng adjusted his jacket and arrogantly said, I return this line to you. You must show absolute respect when facing a strong opponent. The blonde clenched his teeth, trying to suppress his fear and confusion. The news he received clearly said Ningfeng was only a 1-star mage. The bastard he just defeated was a 3-star assassin. Ningfeng defeating him bare-handed was already unbelievable. Seeing the situation wasn't good, the blonde threw out a hidden weapon. Then, taking advantage of Ningfeng dodging, he ran away as fast as he could. But just as he was preparing to jump over the balcony, his ankle was grabbed tightly. The blonde couldn't handle it, his face smashed hard against the balcony, blood mixing in his mouth. Clean up all the mess you made, Ningfeng ordered. The cabinet is broken too, you have to compensate me. The blonde and his accomplices had to strip everything off to compensate. But that still wasn't enough. Ningfeng forced them to reveal who sent them to cause trouble, and the answer was no surprise, it was Zhao Cheng. After learning about the mark Ningfeng gave to Wong Duet, which made him so domineering, he hired these 2 thugs to spy on him. Ningfeng was not surprised. On the contrary, he was quite pleased. If they stubbornly struck first, then he no longer needed to be polite with them. Conveniently, Ningfeng had a spell he hadn't used yet. This guy craving a beating was the perfect test subject. The spell is an active skill Ningfeng had never tried before. It uses the caster's mental power to control the target's mind, turning the target into a powerful copy for a short time. Before testing it on that bastard Zhao Cheng, Ningfeng first easily tried it on these 2 thugs. Meanwhile, Zhao Cheng and a close buddy were quietly talking about Ningfeng. Wong Duet refused to attend the victory party tonight, so Zhao Cheng was lazy to socialize with the rest of the team. From their conversation, it turned out these 2 bastards even got involved in Wong Duet's transfer. One wanted to put the boss into her mission to create a tense situation. Then Zhao Cheng would act as the hero, rescuing the beauty scoring points with the girl. But unexpectedly, Wong Duet was too tough. Even badly injured, she wiped out the boss, ruining his plan. The 2 thugs were chatting while walking, when suddenly a tall shadow blocked their way. After a few seconds of panic, Zhao Cheng realized it was the blonde guy he sent to sabotage Ningfeng's place. He sighed. Hi. Why didn't you say anything, but appeared like a ghost? Have you gotten the info I wanted? The blonde didn't answer, but instead asked Zhao Cheng. Did you guys cause Duet's injury? Both Zhao Cheng and his buddy were a bit surprised by the question. Then he quickly adjusted his mood, stepped forward, slapped the other's face a few times with disdain. Daring to mind others' business. Are you crazy? Zhao Cheng was arrogant, completely ignoring the sharpness rising in the other's eyes. In the blink of an eye, he and his buddy were grabbed by the neck with both hands by the blonde who was actually Ningfeng. Anyone who harms Duet doesn't deserve to live in this world. Ningfeng spoke slowly, but he didn't want these 2 bastards to get off easy. Earlier, Zhao Cheng himself said he wanted Ningfeng dead. If that's the case, then he wanted them to taste those 4 words themselves. The magnetic force from Ningfeng's hand grew stronger, making Trio Trin and that bastard feel like their souls were about to be completely drained by him. About a minute later, the bodies of those 2 turned to ashes. This was definitely the shortest but longest minute of their lives. After finishing, Ningfong also turned the body of the blonde-haired guy into ashes. This was the best way to dispose of the body without leaving a trace. However, this incident was still quite dangerous because the place where Ningfong lived was just a normal small district. If high-level awakened ones wanted to investigate, he wouldn't be able to stop them. Although with Ningfong's current strength, no one could really intimidate him. But he couldn't stay home 24/7 to prevent people like Blondehair from coming. Originally, Ningfong also wanted to use the residual memories of the Demon King to arrange some important matters. Luckily, he hadn't recorded them yet, otherwise intruders would have discovered them. That would have definitely caused a lot of trouble. Ningfong stood up, stretching his arms and back a few times. First, he cleaned up the house, then temporarily moved to Dwan's place. After all, he was a fourth-stage powerhouse. Plus, he received special treatment from the city market. The security at the high-end villa where Dwan lived would surely be much better. Ningfong left that night. Upon arriving, he told Dwan what had just happened. As expected, after hearing the story, he immediately flew into a rage. How dare they mess with the boss of this group? They really think they're untouchable. Boss, take a rest. I'll quickly investigate. There's definitely someone behind this stirring up trouble. He was truly a passionate man. Ningfong lazily collapsed onto the sofa, shaking his head repeatedly. No need to rush this. Actually, I have another question for you. Do you know any trustworthy alchemists? Dwan nodded and asked, what are your requirements for the alchemist? He thought for a moment, then stated his conditions. First, their skill level must be somewhat high and reliable. Second, it's best if their status is free with as few connections as possible. Dwan silently reviewed a few names in his mind. I know an alchemist with decent skills, but unfortunately, he's already joined a big guild. Oh, then that won't do, Ningfong said bleakly. In the shattered memories he absorbed, the Demon King had massacred several high-level alchemists. The medicines they concocted were very effective, clearly comparable to modern world standards. But the specifics were unclear to Ningfong. He could only gather the remaining formulas and then find someone specialized to study them. However, alchemists who joined big guilds truly weren't suitable due to their lack of freedom. Therefore, the risk of confidential information leaking would be very high, which would surely attract a swarm of flies like Traitorous. If there's a chance later, help me keep an eye out. I'll also go ask around with others. Ningfong instructed Dwan, then went to sleep.